The Average Bros Fantasy Show aired last night. The NFL was riddled with injuries this week. And we are coming at you live tonight from Facebook and YouTube. All this and more in 20 seconds. Hey, fellow fanatics, welcome to the Fanatically Real broadcast, sponsored by Football, Darts, and Fantasy Sports Alliance. Man, a little slip of the tongue and the slip of the dentures tonight. I don't know what's going on with me. How is everybody tonight? Hopefully you all are watching this on both of our broadcasts tonight here on Facebook and on YouTube. And if you are, we have a lot of thanks to give to our partners over at Empty Wagon for that. They say an empty wagon makes a lot of noise. Listen to our partners, Josh, Eric, and Brad, talk fantasy football on their podcast, the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. They are your one-stop shop for fantasy football information and news. The guys talk rankings and projections with a whole lot of comedy. So since our last broadcast, they put out two shows. One was the Week 2 preview, and one was the Week 2 recap. Often, like I did last year, I listened to the preview after the games were over, just so I can hear how good these guys are whenever they make their predictions. They said a lot of nice things about us this week, so we appreciate you guys. We also thank you for selling yourselves on the street corner for us this week to get us up over 100 on the YouTube channel, so we can do this on both platforms. And you might be right. I might be a vampire. Make sure you go over and download and listen. You can find the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast on Anchor at anchor.fm. Go there and subscribe to the show. Follow them on all of their social media. You can find them on our social media at Empty Wagon FF. We have an extra piece of news for you guys out of the Empty Wagon guys for the week. So there was a bet that was put out there on their show last week between Eric and Brad. Eric predicting that shoot, I don't want to, it's not Devontae Freeman. Somebody else out there help me. Who was it that he said was going to go up for 150 all-purpose yards? Does anybody remember?
Kevin, I'm leaving that to you.
I do not remember off the top of my head. I was more focused on the outcome.
You know what? It does not matter because we're about to hear Eric say it in this video anyways, for your viewing pleasure.
All right, so if you guys listen to the show, I said Todd Gurley would get 150 all-purpose yards against the Cowboys this week, and he didn't get anywhere close. So now I'm going to take a pie with filling and whipped cream to the head.
No, me.
Who's eating the pie? Hit me in the head with it.
All right, dump it on Daddy's head. No, the other way. Turn it around.
Flip it over.
Turn it over. He's keeping it. Here. No, me, no. Yeah. Look, Mama will give you a piece. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 4. Oh.
Thanks a lot, Todd Gurley.
The best part of that is this kid's back there in the back eating the pie just before he puts it on Dad's head. That's the best part of all of that. Hey, if you are watching this, because we are also sponsored this Fanatic Real broadcast by Football Darts. Football Darts is a dart game that combines the skill of traditional darts with the strategies of American football. This innovative dart game is played on a uniquely designed multiple target dartboard. Unlike traditional British darts, American football darts is a game that combines both the skill of darts and the strategies of football. It can be played in sports bars, at tailgate events, as league tournaments, or as a leisure activity in the comfort of your home. If you would like to check out their officially licensed collegiate dartboards, go to footballdarts.com. All of that, guys, and we made it up over 100 back on YouTube. We are at 103 subscribers. Thank you to everybody that made that possible for us. Please follow us on all of our social media stuff right down there at the bottom right now. Check out the website. Like I said last night on the Average Bro Show, in a couple of weeks, there will be a new website out there. And speaking of the Average Bros, I got them on here with me tonight. Guys, how do you think your first broadcast went last night?
I think it went well. First, I do got to thank everybody that did stop in on our inaugural night, checking us out, commenting. We love when everyone gets in the action, debates back and forth, and I think there may have been a bet thrown down. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun getting the viewers involved, and as the weeks progress, we look to continue that trend.
Well, I don't want to take any thunder away from you, Josh. I know you got to talk about the NFL news last night, and you being the Average Bros Fantasy Show, are going to start picking up most of that NFL news for us here at FSA on your show on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. East Coast time. I wanted to make sure that we brought you back on again tonight so you could give us all of that great NFL news. And then I will, on my show here on Wednesday nights, just pick up any more interesting news that happens in between your all's broadcast and mine. So hit us up with that NFL news. I know you've got some new stuff out there for us today as well.
Yeah, so, there's some things that I'm leaving out this week. So for you guys to get the whole start of it, please watch our show Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. But there are some key players that I decided to leave into it. So kicking it off with Christian McCaffrey, high ankle sprain. It has been confirmed. He's been placed on the IR, so he's going to miss at least the next 3 games. Saquon Barkley tore his ACL. He's going to be out for the season. Cortland Sutton has a knee injury. He is done for the season. Tevin Coleman has a knee injury. He is likely to go on the IR and could miss at least 4 weeks. Raheem Mostert sprained MCL, out for week 3, but unknown timeline after that. Jimmy Garoppolo, high ankle sprain. He is day to day, but most likely is going to be missing week 3 at least. Tyrod Taylor has a punctured lung from his doctor, or from the Chargers doctor. He's going to be out for week 3, so that means that Justin Herbert is going to continue his little parade he's got going on. Sterling Shepard, turf toe. He's been placed on the IR and will miss at least next 3 games. Jalen Reagor, he has a UCL tear in his thumb. He's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. Philip Dorsett with a foot injury. He has been placed on the IR, so he's going to miss next 3 games. And this one's for you, Damian, if you're watching. Devontae Adams has a minor hamstring strain, so his status is to be determined for Sunday night against the Saints. And finishing it off with Julio Jones, he re-injured his hamstring versus the Cowboys, so he is questionable at this point.
So I know we don't do a lot of talking on the Fanatic Real broadcast about this type of thing, but I wanted to ask you opinion, both of you guys. What do you think about the whole lung puncturing with Tyrod Taylor?
I think that it's I think it's the NFL trying to force its hand a little bit and get these guys through injuries more than they should. The lung puncture was caused by a doctor trying to administer a painkiller because he had bruised and fractured ribs, I believe, something along those lines, trying to relieve the swelling there, and went into his lung. Of course, it's a bad mishap. You don't want to see that happen to anybody, although it could have happened to anybody in any setting, regardless of the situation. But instead of letting it heal the way it should have, administering that shot the day of the game to force him in, instead of just rolling with the hand that you've got and putting the backup in and calling it safe. Shame on the league for allowing that as far as the standpoint of what the procedure is. Because if you think about it, that we have all kinds of concussion protocol in place, and things of that. They should really, and up until this point, they've had anti-doping stuff, the marijuana issues that they've had throughout the league, and all of that they put on the players to not do. Yet we can go ahead and administer these shots to players on the day of the game, and now puncture a lung as a recourse of that. So I hate to see it happen. Unfortunately, yes, I know that the backlash is going to be, well, it could have happened anywhere to anybody that would have gotten the shot, but in my opinion, he didn't need it. So bad news there.
Yeah, I agree with Kevin 100%. They should have just let it roll out naturally, and they should have done the right protocol, and they should have just put Herbert in to begin with. And, you see what he did. Would he have over 300 passing yards and almost took down the reigning Super Bowl champs? I mean, that's what you guys should have let off with in the first place. And now they're paying the price for it.
Yeah. I read recently or earlier today that the NFL Players Association is probably getting involved in this as well. Because like Kevin said, unnecessary, something shouldn't probably have happened. So before we switch over, I see a couple of comments that are coming up over here on the side. Rocky, we're going to get to your comment here in just a second. That one right there about when we can add and drop players on the Dynasty League, because that's going to roll over into the MFL waiver wire issue that we had coming into this morning. And I did want to discuss it while we're on air tonight. But before we get there, Josh, there's been a little bit of ribbing between you and Damian, going back and forth over the last couple of days. It's almost like you're picking up for your brother whenever he's not around. And you two play against each other, or your two teams play against each other this weekend on Sunday Night Football, Green Bay versus New Orleans. And we brought it up on the Average Bros show last night that maybe that there is a bet in the work between the two of you. And I wanted to know how that's working out for you.
So I am 100% into making up a bet. Me and Kevin were actually talking about it earlier, and we were kind of thinking the same thing from Empty Wagon, and just doing a pie to the face, something that we can make in a video and put on the show as well. And I think it'll be very interesting if Adams is out for the game, because no Thomas, no Adams, and it just comes down to Aaron Jones and Alvin Kamara.
I think somebody wants to see the beard be shaved off, I think. But I think a pie to the face might be not bad. Maybe we'll get the facial hair.
I've said it multiple times that I am 100% okay with losing the beard, unlike Kevin.
Well, the issue is Damian doesn't have any facial hair, so you can't. There's no apples to apples there. But I will gladly smash a pie in your face any day of the week.
Yes, I will even plan for Kevin to come out here, and he will do it himself.
Jennifer says, can't we do both? I think she means shave the beard and put a pie in the face. You know what we should do is shave the beard, and while it's still got all the stubble and the hairs left on it, then do the pie in your face. And then have you eat the pie. That's kind of gross. But Damian, if you're out there, let us know what you think about the pie in the face bet. All right, so let's get Rocky's comment up here about when we can add and drop players on the Dynasty League. Let's talk about what happened with the waiver wire moves this morning. So we finally got the calendar set up so when the players are going to be locked before we go into the waiver wires on Wednesday morning. So right now the calendar has it at 9 p.m. East Coast time on Monday night, just before Monday night kicks off or right after Monday night kicks off. All of those players will lock. That way it allows everybody to get their waiver wire moves put in for Tuesday, and that first waiver wire will roll on Wednesday morning at 1 o'clock in the morning. Through all of the shenanigans that went on with that yesterday, here's what it looked like from my side. When I realized that people were able to just add and drop players willy-nilly when they weren't supposed to, I had to go back in and one at a time move those back over to the teams. It was a total of 9 teams and 15 transactions that needed to be moved back over. Once that was done, I had sent an email out to MFL and said, hey, this is what happened. What do I do to fix this? And they said it looked like one of the calendar events had been deleted, and that was the calendar event that was going to lock all of the players to get ready for waivers. So I put that back on the calendar, and that's where it's going to be at 9 o'clock on Mondays. after that, their guidance was make sure I go over and gave me to the link to make sure I locked all of the players, which I did. Should have locked all of the players, and it should have allowed everybody to have equal access to all of the players for waiver wires that ran this morning. However, it did not happen. All of the players were globally locked except for those players that I had to put back on people's rosters. MFL was still treating those as recent locks, and they were going to sit out there for an additional 24 hours. So that means they won't run until tomorrow morning instead. I know that it has affected at least 3 of those 9 teams, one of them kind of in a major way, and that's the Inferno with David Hinkle down in Florida. Him and I have already had a discussion about that this morning. And then I've had to make phone calls, emails, text messages out to those other 8 to let them know what had happened with that process, and let them know don't forget to put your waiver wire moves in for those particular players. There were other people that realized that there was a mistake and they still added and dropped players. They just didn't get the ones that they originally had on there before I had to put them back out there. But moving forward, we should be good now. I just wanted to let everybody know what had happened with that. So the global lock was supposed to lock everybody, but it did not do it for those ones that were recently dropped. And I'm not sure if there's actually a way to get around that on MFL. But after we saw it this morning, there wasn't enough time to react to it, put everybody back onto the list and just have it run again. It just wasn't going to happen. So we have a hiccup. We apologize to everybody. I know that it's frustrating, especially for Hinkle, because it was a big deal for him. Hopefully we'll be able to move forward the rest of this season with no more hiccups, and then we'll know that these best practices from this year, and we carry them over to 2021. In addition to that move, we did the exact same thing. For whatever reason on the Arm and Leg League, which is crazy to me because the Arm and Leg League was a clone of the Redraft League, the locking of players was still on the calendar over there, but it was set for 7 p.m., which I'm not sure why it was originally set for 7 p.m. And what I did was I adjusted it for the Arm and Leg League to be 9 p.m. as well. So that mirrors across those 2 leagues. Now, Rocky, to your point about when you can add and drop players on the Dynasty League, you can't willy-nilly add and drop players on the Dynasty League because everything is done by Fab. So what you have to do is if you're going to add or drop a player, it is all done with your free agent acquisition budget. So anytime you try to drop and then add, it's going to ask you for how much money that you want to do that for. Now, the waiver wires in the Dynasty also run every single morning at 1 o'clock in the morning, except for on that Tuesday morning. Not because we have to lock any players, because everything is done on Fab and there's no first come, first serve. But I just wanted to keep it on the same frequency like the rest of the leagues are. That way, if you're playing across multiple leagues in FSA, you know what that's going to look like. And Rocky, if you need more explanation than that, you know you can call me anytime. Give me a call and I'll help you out with that. So do you have any comments or questions? Did it affect either one of your teams? I don't think that it did.
No.
No, I believe that I had waivers put in redraft, but it didn't look like I was going to get them anyway, so it didn't affect me regardless. I wish it did. I wish I got those players in there, but no, that did not happen.
And what's crazy is with Rocky still out there, it made me think about this and me asking you guys if it did anything for you. So the teams, the players that got put back on the rosters that were in the recent lock and not the global lock, all of them should have had the same effect, right? Nobody should have been able to move those players. Out of those 15 transactions of those 9 teams, one of those transactions still acted like it was supposed to, even though it was on a recent lock versus a global lock. And that was one of Rocky's players, actually. When I went through and line by line this morning and looked at that, for whatever reason, one of his still went through like it was supposed to, even though the rest of them were still screwed up. And I have no explanation for that. I don't know how the database works on MFL, the eaches of it to be able to figure that out. All I know is one ran correctly and all the rest of them did not. So, but Rocky, I will talk to you about the dynasty and the free agent acquisition budget. Hey, let's get over to these games of the week. We got to get these up here. So let's talk about the New England region first. It was a difficult game of the week to pick for the New England region because they were all really, really good this week. However, the game of the week came between the two teams that concluded the 2019 regular season for the New England Phoenix, and it was a head-to-head matchup between the Phoenix Rage and the Superfan. Phoenix Rage were trying to get their revenge after losing to the Superfan in that last game of the season last week. However, it did not work out in Randy McCarty's favor, who is the general manager for the Phoenix Rage, as Kathy Roberts, general manager of the Superfan, got the upper hand with a final score of 139 to 111. And I want to pause here for a second so I can show you all something, because this is super awesome right here. I got a gift from the same Randy McCarty we just talked about. Some of you know that Randy is moving from the New England region over into the Southwest region, physically moving his presence in his household. And we might have him in the Southwest region next year, or we might keep him up in the New England region because of the rivalries and the friendships that he has up there. But in the process of him getting ready to make this move, he has had a gift, two gifts for me for quite a while that he ended up mailing to me, and I got them. Randy, you have to tell us up here, and I know the guys will pop up any commentation that you put up there about these gifts. But apparently he's had these for a while, right? And he finally sent them to me, and I got them yesterday. And two of the coolest things that I've ever seen. So I want to show you this first one. I want to show you what it looks like in this current state right here. And I know it's a little hard to see. It does say Fantasy Sports Alliance there on the base. It is an acrylic version of Walter. I know that's hard to see until you light it up. How cool is that? Super awesome. Randy, I really, really appreciate it, man. That is awesome. That is going to stay right here on the desk. And then I've got the second gift that he gave to me that I'm going to bring up a little bit later on the show. But for right now, we are going to get back over to these games of the week. So in the Appalachian region, the top scoring game of the week across the entire alliance came in this region, with it being between the fantasy football team and the Sin City Kitties. The two teams combined for a total of 406.8 points. The fantasy football team took the win with a margin of victory of 8.6 points. Final score there, 207 to 199. In the Great Lakes region, we saw two of our Hall of Fame members face off against each other. Both of these general managers were enshrined into the Hall of Fame in last year's class. This is between the Killers and the Cavalry. The Killers took the win over the Cavalry despite both teams having a player earn them 0 points for the week. Final score there, 144 to 123. In the South Atlantic region, we saw the lowest scoring team in the Alliance lose to last week's top scoring team in all of the Alliance. That was between the Naughty Dogs and their general manager, Sean Purcell, as they defeated the E-Thugs and their general manager, Bruce Nakamoto, with a final score of 150 to 86. And after being last week's lowest scoring team in all of the Alliance, the Labradors of the Serpents region bounced back and was this week's highest scoring team across the entire Alliance. That earned him an all-play record this week of 71-0, making him an even 500 at 71-71 right now. They defeated the Hurricanes Football Club. Final score there was 208 to 155. In our final region in the Reed Draft League, Eric from the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast and his team, the Gadget Guys, improved to 2-0 with a win over Justin Clyburn and the Underdogs. Final score there was 164 to 136. That point total was with the Gadget Guys taking a 0 from Will Fuller that was in their lineup. What do we got out there in the comment world? Yeah, MJ, it was a very, very sweet gift from Randy. I can't thank you enough, brother, and I can't wait to show everybody else the next one. And then Damien says a lot of points being scored in the Appalachian region. Sure it is, 207 to 199. Oh, you know what? Damien's bringing that up because that's y'all's region too, isn't it, Kevin?
Yes, it is.
I see.
He's not wrong, though.
No, he's definitely not wrong. You guys are doing it big over in the Appalachian region. All right, let's get into these dynasty games. So this game of the week in the Alpha League felt more like a revenge game between Sean Purcell and myself. I knocked him out of the redraft playoffs last year. On the weekend, he decided to come all the way over here from the west side of Atlanta to visit me here in the Augusta area. And he was looking to get back at me. But in the new league on the dynasty side with his Atlanta Havoc versus my Orlando Rage, he did, in fact, get his revenge. Final score there was 166 to 131. Coincidentally, though, he set almost a perfect lineup, leaving only 4.3 points on the bench, which is pretty freaking awesome. However, for me, not the same, where I left just shy of 60 points sitting on the bench. And as you look at that score, it could have been a huge difference based on the coach's rating for the week, which I was not very good with. In the Bravo League, the St. Louis Gunner is now one of 4 teams in the Bravo League that remains undefeated. They got that way by knocking off the Providence Steamrollers with the final score there, 165 to 156. And that brings me back up to the next gift that I got from Randy. He is the general manager of the St. Louis Gunners. Some of you know that the way we're building the dynasty, or the way we built the dynasty leagues this year, was these are defunct professional football teams. No matter what level they play at, arena, NFL, or whatever, everybody got to pick their own dynasty team. And Randy picked the St. Louis Gunners, a real NFL team. He was able to find one of these for me and one for himself. That is an actual St. Louis Gunners patch from the 30s with a little bit of NFL history behind it. He was able to find one for me and one from him on eBay. So another great gift from Randy, man, and I appreciate it. I'm glad that I'm not sure how long you've been holding on to them, but I'm glad that they finally got here. Sean says, so much love for my teams tonight. Sean, I believe you actually are getting brought up one more time before the show runs tonight, but I could be wrong. But let's get to that Charlie Dynasty League. The Arizona Hotshots and the San Antonio Commanders were looking to break their 1-1 record tie they have against each other dating back to the AAF season of 2019. In case you didn't know, these two teams actually played in the Alliance Football League that was short-lived last year. The Commanders won the first matchup on 10 March 2019 in Tempe, Arizona, and the Hotshots tied that series on 31 March as they traveled to San Antonio. This time it was the Hotshots adding the extra win to the series record with a final score of 199 to 131. And in the Delta League, hard to believe, the Orlando Apollos is the only team left in the Delta Dynasty League that is still undefeated with a 2-0 record. And they got that record by beating the Fargo Freeze with a final score of 177 to 114. So I wanted to reach back out to you guys and ask you if you had any comments from the redraft or from the Dynasty games from this week, because I know the both of you play in both of them.
Yeah, I want to mention Damien's point there as far as a lot of points being scored within the Appalachian region, and he's spot on there. It was definitely a wild week as Monday night's games went on. I was not expecting to be in the position that I'm in, which I know we'll recap in a minute here, but my goal was just to try to break that 200 mark. If we look back to week 1, we only had one team even close with the Naughty Dogs at 199, and I believe there was 6 or 7 teams this week that were over 200 or right in that range. Unfortunately, I fell short, one Darren Waller catch short to be exact. But just a lot of fun watching these teams progress throughout the season, get a little bit better each week, and then trying to compare what we're doing in our individual leagues to the World League as a whole, if you will. Looking at how how many players that you have on your team match up with players on other teams, and look how those teams fare themselves. So a lot of fun overall to watch this go throughout the season.
Josh, what do you got? How do you feel about your teams this week?
Terrible. Terrible.
Well, how did you guys do all in all your fantasy leagues? I forgot to ask that at the top of the show. How did you guys fare against all the ones that you do play, and what was your record this week?
0-3. Terrible. I'm selling my teams.
I went 3-2, a flip of last week, which I went 2. We split the dynasties this week, so you'll be happy to know that, Josh. The better New York, New Jersey team did pull off a win.
Oh, so then I'm 1-3.
Yeah.
The team that I don't even manage, and they win.
I went 4-2 last week, and I think I went 1-5 this week. It was so bad it's not even really worth mentioning. And in one of those that I ended up losing was right here in the upcoming arm and leg league that we're about to talk about. So we ended up having 2 ties in the QB54 arm and leg league this week, one in each one of the conferences. First one, of course, being in AFC. It was between myself and Chris Simpson. We played to a 30-30 tie. And then it went to our tiebreaker positions that we get to pull from. And that's when Simpson completely dominated me. He used Jared Goff for his tiebreaker, who ended up getting him 18 points. I ended up using Sam Darnold that only got me 6 points. So I wanted to let everybody know, when you're looking at the standings on the QB54 Arm and Leg League, these tiebreakers or these overtime games, those additional points do not count in your point total, only what you got in that game. So in this case, I only earned the 30 points, as did Chris this week in the Arm and Leg League. And the same thing happened in the NFC side of the house, where Maria and Brett played against each other to a 25-25 tie, except for their tiebreaker was a whole lot closer, as they both used their kickers as their tiebreaker. And Brett ended up having Kaimi Fairbairn, which ended up getting him 12 points. And Maria had Mason Crosby getting her 11 points. So final score there was 25-25, with Brett ended up getting the tiebreaker there. And that ends all of our games of the week. Guys, how are you?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm stalling a little bit here because I know what Kevin wants to see. He wants to see the power rankings come up, which would be the next thing that we would talk about. But I'm really delaying this just a tiny bit. Should we go ahead and talk about Thursday Night Football first, or should we go ahead and do these power rankings?
Let's just, for Kevin's sake, let's just skip them for tonight.
We'll just skip the power rankings for the whole night.
Just skip them for the whole
night. Hey, all I want to let you guys know is, if you ain't first, you're last. So.
Oh my goodness.
All right, let's go ahead and get to these power rankings. All right, so here is the power rankings after week 2. Evil Empire and Kevin Godwin is at that top of that list. A couple of people joining that top 25 that was not there last week. A couple of people are falling off. We've had a couple of requests from people to see if we can post what the changes are for up and down on this list, and I will make sure I work on that the upcoming week. Even if it doesn't get posted onto the MFL website in the Power Rankings tab, I will try to do it right here on the broadcast so you all can see who moved up and down this list. And I don't know if the White Ponies are out there or not, but they said they were super happy to be at that number 25 spot so they could be in the center there on the bottom row and probably get the most attention for the week. Maybe we should start posting the top 26 instead. Or maybe we do the number 1 team big at the top, and then we keep the columns the same down the rest of the way. Who knows? But Kevin, how do you feel about that number 1 ranking?
I feel extremely happy with the way that turned out, because it was actually unexpected. I was going back and forth with Damien, and when we were watching these teams, we both first thought that the winner of the fantasy football team and the Sin City Kitties was going to take the cake as far as this week's rankings, because the total wins and the quality wins have not really accumulated too much until we start to look at next week moving forward. But then he brought up a good point and mentioning that I currently have the most points for combined in the first 2 weeks, which I did not even know myself. I was just hoping to break 300 or 200 this week and be in the top 3. So to be number 1 feels pretty good right now, especially out of the Appalachian region, which has 3 of the top 5 in the power, or 3 in the top 5 as far as power ranking goes, and I believe 6 out of 12 in the top 25.
So you did mention something about the quality wins, and I know Josh asked earlier for me to try to explain it to him. So Josh, I'm going to explain it again for the masses, and we'll see if you pick up on it this time. All right. So What
Taking notes.
Take notes this time. So what Kevin's referring to as the quality wins is how we're doing the power rankings this year. So every time you defeat an opponent, they go under your, I don't know, your conquered, your conquest, whatever you want to say, right? And the number of wins that they accumulate for the entire season, not just the number of wins that they had when you beat them. All it basically does is give you a check the block next to their name that says, okay, this was a team that I beat. This was a team that I beat. And their total number of wins become yours under your quality wins. So let's say you are 3-1. You've defeated 3 teams. Let's say every single one of those teams are 2-2. At that moment, you have 6 quality wins because those are all of the teams that you beat. And let's say they go on and they run a string at the end of the season and finish 9-2, all 3 of them. You will end up with 27 quality wins. So you take your quality wins and you multiply it by your all-play record. Now, your all-play record is cumulative for the whole year. Kind of like we mentioned with the Labradors earlier, they were the lowest scoring team last week, highest scoring team this week. You get a record each week based on the number of points you score. If you're the highest scoring team of the week, you will be 71-0. It was like you beat the other 71 teams that are in the alliance. If you were the lowest scoring team, you would be 0-71, and then somewhere in between there. Those totals for each week or that win-loss is added. It's cumulative. So in his case, he was 71-0 last week, or 0-71 last week, 71-0 this past week. Whatever. Week 1, 0-71. Week 2, 71-0. He's now 71-71. So he's taking that 500 record and multiplying it by his quality wins, which I believe, like Kevin said, pretty early in the season. So we don't have a lot of quality wins to pass around. For those people who have 2 right now, that's super rare. That means the team that you beat last week had to have won this week, and the team that you beat this week had to have won last week. Does that make sense? It's the only way you're going to have 2 quality wins right now. And if you have 0 wins, you still have 1 multiplied by your power or your all-play record. So your all-play record is your power ranking at the moment.
Well, the first thing Damien had mentioned over in the group me chat separately was that him winning is very bittersweet because it now helps me as adding to my quality wins after beating him. So he did win this week. So thank you, Damien, for helping boost me into my number 1 overall position. And he does have a good point there as far as, that top spot, could be short-lived after losing CMC and me now picking up Fitzmagic, who I despise greatly, and having to play him whatsoever.
Because he has a better beard than him.
That's part of it.
Hates him.
You couldn't find anybody else. You couldn't find anybody on the waiver wire better than Fitzmagic.
He's not been bad. That's my concern. Is he, as far as a fantasy standpoint goes, is yes, he's plays in Miami, but overall points wise, he hasn't been bad enough to look at Nick Mullins, who would be the replacement to Garoppolo, who I'm taking out of my lineup. So
MJ makes a very good point here. It says it's complex yet refined, the power ranking. So like I've said before, I borrowed the idea off of NCFF, the National Collegiate Fantasy Football League that I'm in, with Ross Norris, the guy that co-commissions with me and the co-creator of the QB54 Arm and Leg League. It's a system that he's used. I think this is their 6th year in operation since the very beginning. And it wasn't until I played in it, this is my, I think, 3rd or 4th year playing in his league, and was actually really close to and inside that top 25 quite a few times last year, that I really looked into it to understand it. And what it really does is it rewards you for beating stronger opponents. If you continue to beat teams that are below 500 or something like that, when you come up against an opponent that does have a higher power ranking, it really does give a true picture of how strong your team is just across the board. So I'm hoping you're liking the way that they're coming out. If you decide that, hey, this isn't the way we want to go for 2021, we can go back to the old system. But I really do enjoy like this. And I think you're not really going to see it grow or play out until we get a couple more weeks in. It's going to take a 3rd week or a 4th week before you'll start seeing it really play itself out. MJ says she needed that last year. Yeah, last year we were still doing everything on what MFL calls as the alternate power ranking is what we used. And it really did not help teams that were doing really well. We had a team last year out of Hawaii that was called Black Jesus in Cleats. And he was all the way up to 11-0, but was really low in the power rankings, like was sitting down in the 20s, like 21, 22 at 11-0, where he should have had been up there a whole lot higher in the power rankings. He still would have not, even with that that great win-loss record, was still not going to be number one even in this system. So it worked out really, really well. Yeah, I dreamed power rankings last year. She's not wrong. So I wanted to make sure that we had a better way of doing this in 2020. And I started working on this system, I think probably about this time last year. We were only a couple weeks into the season, and I wanted to figure out a reason why Black Jesus and Cleats was not getting rewarded with the system that we had like he should have been. So I started I started running through the entire season up to that point using the NCFF, or the power rankings we're using right now, system to see what it would look like. And it really showed a better picture. And at that moment, I was like, yeah, this is what we're going to go with for next year. Damien says, I took it off there. Would be cool to see a graphic of how far the new top 25 had dropped, how far the top 25. Yeah, Damien, I will put that out there. I probably will not put it on the power rankings itself on the website where you're under the power rankings tab, but during the broadcast, I will probably do that. I'll figure out a way to facilitate that next week so y'all can see that, what that looks like. All right, we've talked a lot about power rankings, mostly just because Kevin's number one, and he wanted us to. He twisted my arm really, really hard to make that happen. Let's talk the late games for this upcoming week. Let's talk Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football. Kevin, what is our rankings right now among the three of us?
So currently, you are our top dog. You are sitting at 5-2. I fell short once again, unfortunately, due to Cam falling short at 3-5, and Josh, who had just joined us in last week, went 1-2 on the week.
All right, so let's talk Thursday night football. Miami at Jacksonville, a complete snooze fest. Nobody wants to watch this game. I don't think there's very much fantasy relevance in this, except for Kevin just picking up Miami's quarterback. Can't even think of his name. He's so terrible.
Patrick.
There you go, Fitzmagic. He was with the Jets for a while, and let's see how easily forgettable he is. Jacksonville, surprisingly enough, is favored by 3 points in this game, and the over-under is 48. Josh, you are currently in third place. We won't say last. We'll say third.
With a disadvantage.
Yeah, so we'll let you go ahead and make the choice of this Thursday night game. Who do you like?
It's going to be simple. Minshew Mania. I'm going Jacksonville.
Okay.
All for the mustache.
Kevin?
I'm right there with him. I'm riding that Minshew Mania. Although, contrary to how I need Fats Patrick to go and play for my fantasy team, I still think Jacksonville wins outright. So when you look across, and we'll talk about the next two games as well, about the point spread and who's favored, in all three of these games, the home team is favored by about a field goal, right? And I think that's probably just a generic home field advantage type thing that they usually give, right, in the odds. However, I don't know what that does right now with not every one of the stadiums allowing fans in and their limited capacity to the number of fans that are in there, all of that, right? And it's Miami and Jacksonville. So for mine, I am just going with the odds more than likely. I'm thinking the home team wins the game. So I'm right there with you guys as well. Mark me down, Kevin, for Jacksonville. And Josh, I figured you would probably like this hat. Best part of this hat is the underside of the bill. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
So I got Jacksonville for Thursday night. All right, well, let's go to the same order for Sunday night football. Green Bay at New Orleans. I have a funny feeling I know who Josh is going to pick. New Orleans, again, home team favored by 3 points. Over under for this one, 52.5 points. Josh, You going with the Saints?
No. So
Well,
I know my luck. I have terrible luck. Every team I root for, 9 times out of 10 loses. And I won't lie, Green Bay is the team to beat right now. They are the team to beat. So I'm on your side for this week, Damien, even though we have a bet going on. But I'm going Green Bay.
wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
I'm a little confused there, bud.
You know what?
Yeah.
So
I'll help
You're
you guys
going to
out. I'll take the jersey off. Right now. It's okay.
you're going to pick Green Bay for this. However, if the Saints lose, you take the pie. Yeah, I can't even wrap my head around this right now.
So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. Green Bay wins. I win here. If New Orleans wins, I get to see Damien take a pie to the face. Win-win.
I don't think that's a win-win, bud.
No, I really don't. I agree with Kevin. It's not a win-win. And you should be allowed to wear that jersey right now because you just said that.
You know what?
If the Saints, you're projecting the Saints to lose after making a bet of putting your back behind your team. I feel like you're flip-flopping here, bud. It feels like you've got 1 foot off the bandwagon there, and you're gonna hop over. I'm confused.
What kind of fan am I? I'm the type of fan that knows every team I root for loses. So I'm rooting for Green Bay with the intentions that they are going to lose.
Unless you are just unless he's trying to even out, right? I know a lot of people don't like to bet on their own team. You don't want to jinx them, so I assume betting for the pie side of things, you kind of have to even it out, and now you have to take Green Bay. But I'm just trying to make sense of it somehow for you.
I love all the comments that are coming out of the family members from that side of the house.
Are you
over them all?
Are you fevered? I am pretty hot right now.
Yeah. Did we ask Kevin who he's picking yet?
No, we've been astonished by this.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, Kev, who are you picking this week?
I, however, am not going to go back and forth on this. I was very much said this over on Tuesday nights with the Average Bros, which mine seems to be very much so, is I think that the Saints are looking at a new look style offense without that big piece in Michael Thomas. And I think it was kind of a new feel to them to try to work Traquan Smith underneath and still try to find that deep ball. Emmanuel Sanders not a big factor. Cook not a huge factor. And Alvin Kamara worked well out of the pass game and his screens, but not really running too great as far as breaking off for big runs. I think that changes this week. I think they get that new look offense without Michael Thomas in there under wraps. I take the Saints in this game.
Thank you, Kevin. Proud of you.
Well, as much crap as we just gave Josh, I'm going on the Green Bay side as well. I know that New Orleans is favored and at home. Mark me down for Green Bay. No big, long explanation as to why, just a gut feeling. I think Aaron Rodgers is playing with a fire. He's trying to make a point, and I believe that's why they're playing so well right now. And even though they might be out without their star wide receiver, I just think that Aaron Rodgers has been able to get it done even without great wide receivers under him for the last couple of years. And I say Green Bay takes this one.
Yeah, so before the show, I mentioned that I had like all the stats and everything pulled up. And just to better my case, my terrible case, Aaron Jones currently leads with the most rushing yards. And Green Bay as a team leads with the most points scored in the league.
I saw that earlier today, too. It also influenced a little bit of what I was thinking about doing, too. They are leading the league in points right now.
Mm-hmm.
I wish Kev would go against my best interest. Probably not. Shouldn't be a shocker at this point anymore. All right, Monday Night Football. Kansas City at Baltimore. Probably the preview of the AFC Championship already in Week 3. Baltimore favored by 3.5 points. With a huge over-under of 54 points. Josh, what do you think?
I loved them last season. I love them this season. Madden 21 cover star. I'm going with Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. They should have been the team in the Super Bowl.
I see Kev marking it down. While you do that, Kev, I wasn't going to grab a second hat tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and grab it for my Monday night game. Go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, for me, I'm right there with you, Josh. I think that the Ravens take this. I think this is probably the closest game that you'll see all year as far as standings go, and as far as a matchup heading into the week, I should say, goes, with plenty of fantasy implementations in this game. But I do think that the Ravens get it done. I think that the Chiefs have not figured it out on all cylinders. You've seen flashes of the run game, and you've seen flashes of that deep ball pass to Hill, like they like to connect, but it hasn't been four-quarter consistent. And I think that the Ravens, although playing not as fast-paced and high level, at least they're consistent across the board to where if it is a shootout, I think that gets it done.
So I agree with all of your points. And unfortunately that we're all going to pick the same team in this game this week. And really the biggest reason that I'm doing this is Baltimore is one of my daughter's favorite teams, with the other one being the Tennessee Titans. And then, of course, the Whites is Seattle Seahawks. So a bunch of winners in this house and me, the loser Jet fan here. But mostly I just wanted to pull out this hat because the Baltimore Ravens one is way cooler than the Kansas City hat that I've got. And for no other reason than that, I'm picking Baltimore to win this game just because the purple hat looks good. So mark me down for that.
I mean, it's that close to a game, on paper looking at this thing to where, hey, they wear purple, I'll go with that. Works well for me.
Yeah, and look, Josh, once again, you got to look. It's the Color Rush hat. I knew you would like it.
I know.
Pretty awesome.
I'm jealous for the Saints hat that you have.
Yeah. I told you the story one day. I'll tell the rest of the Alliance how that story went down.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's pretty much it of the formal part. We're going to go through the regular rigmarole here at the end. Don't forget to set your lineups. I'm going to say it every single week, even though I keep being told not to. I want to make sure that we have fair play here in FSA. So make sure you set your lineups in the redrafts, all four of the dynasties in the QB54 league this week, and any other leagues that you play in outside of FSA. Next broadcast for us, the Fanatic Real broadcast, will be next Wednesday, which is the 30th of September at 8:30 p.m. East Coast time. Before we get to my show next week, though, we have two more get-togethers. We're going to have the happy hour, the FSA happy hour, on Sunday, 27 September. That's going to be on Zoom, maybe right back here on StreamYard, depending on how many people we pull into the room for the night. I did hear a couple of people say during the StreamYard get-together last week that they liked it better on Zoom. It seemed like to be a little bit connected better and stuff like that. So we'll have to see where everybody would like to go. That room will open up at 8:15, 5 minutes before kickoff for the Sunday night game between Green Bay and New Orleans. A lot riding on that game. Can't wait to watch with you all. And then after Sunday, on Tuesday, we will be right back for episode 2 of the Average Bros Fantasy Show. That'll be between Kevin and Josh. That will be at 8 p.m. East Coast time. So remember, their show is at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays. Ours is 8:30 on Wednesdays. And they will be back broadcasting on both Facebook and YouTube, just like we are right now. Again, thank you to everybody that was able to get us up over the 100 mark so we could do this tonight. Thank you for allowing us to have our own custom YouTube URL now. We will be able to put that out to everybody as well. And then also go follow us on all of our social media, which is going to be showing up down here on the bottom in just a second, I think. There it goes. Right there it is. Magic how that happens. Technology is great. So there is all the social media where you can find us on everything. Hey, if you like the jersey that I'm wearing tonight, if you like the all black one that you saw last week, don't forget, we are in the jersey business. Let us know if you would like to have a jersey created for you by our jersey people here, Hometown Sports. I am actually working on one that is not related to FSA. It's actually related to VRV. and it's the Regal Reflections. One of the people that's right here in Georgia with us, she wants a jersey made so she can wear that during the events that she's doing since it is football season. So I am in the midst of working on that for her. Let me know if you would like to have one, and we can work on that together. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Definitely want to thank Football Darts, who are our broadcast sponsor. Thank you to QB54, who is our arm and leg sponsor. Thank you to Nature Coast Tailgating. They are our world championship sponsor this year. All of our bowl sponsors, Finger Lakes Mercantile, Cranky Veteran Candle Company, Deep South Creations, Southern Siren Sugar Scrub, and of course, we cannot forget the official music of the FSA, and that is the recast that you see down there in the bottom right-hand corner. And then also, one last thing, please don't forget to go out and listen to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. And Brad, Josh, and Eric, go out and find them on Anchor at anchor.fm. If you liked the show tonight, make sure you go out and like, share, subscribe if you're already not subscribing over on the YouTube channel side. We would very much appreciate it. Kevin, Josh, got any parting words for the group tonight?
Yes, I do. What do I have? I have just because we hit 100 subscribers doesn't mean that's it. You know, tell your friends, tell your family about the channel, even if they don't even know what a football is. Tell them about the show. Have them come watch it. They can see Kevin's ridiculous see-through cup. My girlfriend doesn't know the first thing about football, and she got a complete kick out of that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I like seeing Walter's face shine through on that. That's pretty cool.
There it is. Wow,
that's pretty cool.
So tell everybody, please.
Yeah, so your family, friends, coworkers, they can shut the alerts off. Just give us some more subscribers. We would very much appreciate it. Kev, what you got, man?
Yeah, I'm right there with Josh. Go out and subscribe, like all of our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you would like to find us. In addition, check us out back here on Tuesday, 8 o'clock. Remember, all of your NFL news with all the injuries throughout the league, that will now be on Tuesdays with me and my average bro up there. And then, of course, check me and Brian back out here on Wednesday for everything in between and talk about how much further I could pull into that first place spot, or to see if I am dethroned in the power rankings. That will be updated here again on Wednesday.
You know, I think that everybody asking about us showing those changes of up and down on the rankings. Next week is a perfect time to do that as we watch Kevin fall really far out of that number one spot. It's probably the perfect time to add that on to the show.
Yeah, I think the best way to do that there, as I'm brainstorming here out loud, is just to add a little plus minus next to the members in the top 25 to see where they have come from, plus or minus any spots. And then hopefully you won't see me drop out of the 25 so you could see that change, but we shall see.
He's dropping below 20, guaranteed.
Yeah. And Eric saying, thanks, Brian. Absolutely, guys. We need to talk. So had a nice conversation with the guys before we went live tonight. Let's get together. Let's get all six of us together and have a conversation. So that is it. You all have a great night. Jenna comes on right at the end. Jenna, how are you? Tell Taylor I said hello and that I love him. And we will see you all Sunday. Have a good, happy week of football. And, we'll see you in, God, how many days is that? I can't count. What is today? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in 4 days. We'll see you guys back for the FSA happy hour. We'll see you all next week.